Hi, I'm Terry and welcome to Impact Language. Today I want to bring you another great study to show you why our first impressions are permanent, accurate, immediate and non-verbal. That's the PAIN acronym that describes our first impressions from the last video. It's all got to do with the brain and how it receives information. So a researcher called David C. Funder saw the study done by Princeton University that showed we can make a first impression in under 1 second and determine someone's characteristics like likability, competence, trustworthiness, and aggressiveness. David thought this was incredible, so he wanted to do his own study to see it for himself. So the way he did this is he had people take a personality test, and then he also got their friends to rate the personality as well. So he had a really good snapshot of what these people's personalities were like. Then he showed videos of these people to random strangers for less than a second and had the strangers rate their personalities. These strangers were able to determine the subject's personality, character, and trustworthiness with a 76% accuracy based on the comprehensiveness of the personality reports. So when we judge people straight away, we are pretty accurate. It's very quick and those impressions stay. So it's very hard to get your first impression to change. Now I want to tell you why that is the case. It purely comes down to the way our brains receive information. To understand this better, it's useful to view your brain in 3 different sections. A warning here, I'm about to geek out on you. First, you have the reptilian brain, then the mammalian brain or limbic system, and then you have the neocortex. All of these parts of the brain have very different functions, but we know that all incoming information comes through the reptilian brain first before it gets passed to the other areas of the brain. And it's important to recognize that the reptilian part of our brain is very basic. It's responsible for the autonomous nervous system, so automatic functions like heart rate, breathing, and body temperature. This part of the brain does not think. It just acts on the information it receives and does so very quickly. It's mainly assessing 2 things. Is this an opportunity or is this a threat? Does this feel good or does this feel bad? And then there's 2 types of threats. There's physical threats. This is where reading body language cues comes very handy. And then there's energetic and psychological threats. The reptilian brain also hates details. So when you first meet someone and ask them what they do, and they just start ranting with a monologue of their job, your brain will just start to shut down because this information overload is seen as a threat. Your fight or flight will kick in and you will want to exit the conversation now. I'm sure you've all experienced something like this before. So details are what shuts the reptilian brain down. It will sum things up very quickly and then make its decision. So what's the reptilian brain looking for? It wants to know, is this new and exciting or novel? Or is it dangerous, boring, or a threat and going to require a lot of energy? If it's an opportunity, we'll start moving after it. If it's a threat, we will start to move away from it. And our brain will actually attach a neurotoxin to the stimulus the first time a threat happens. So that when we experience a threat stimulus again, the alarm bells go off much sooner and you can react quicker. This is the exact reason why you've heard the expression, first impressions count. Because once you've been tagged as a threat or not interesting, you're going to stay that way. On top of the reptilian brain sits your mammalian brain or limbic system. The limbic system is your decision-making part of the brain and is responsible for your emotions and behaviors. However, it's unconscious decision-making based on the way you feel. All your senses come into the limbic system, which is everything you see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. These sensations enter the limbic system as a frequency, which then gets catalogued, and the limbic system will remember the stimuli and how it made you feel. These first 2 parts of the brain do not have a function for language. So this is why non-verbal communication is far more important, 12 to 13 times more than spoken words. Because of the way our brains receive and process information, non-verbal communication is what the brain focuses on first and then makes its split-second decision. This is because you don't have time to go up to someone and ask if they're trustworthy or a threat. If we were living in tribes like we were thousands of years ago and you did this, you would die a lot of the time. So that's a bad system. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The third part of the brain is the neocortex. This is the big cauliflower looking part with the two hemispheres, and it's responsible for problem solving, creative thinking, analytical thought and logic, and the ability for spoken word or language. This is where we determine the meaning of information. Now here's where it gets cool. Your reptilian brain has already decided whether it likes, trusts, and wants to get to know someone more before you are even consciously aware of it. Then you feel a certain way based on that decision, and then this is all passed to the neocortex, which then just finds information to confirm what was passed to it. Your neocortex is not designed to keep you happy, but to keep your mammalian brain happy. So it just feeds information back to the limbic system to keep it happy. In this way, you're not really making many conscious decisions at all. You're just reacting to feelings and decisions that have been created unconsciously. And then your neocortex is finding information to support that data. Crazy, huh? This is why it's very difficult to have someone's opinion of you change after you first meet them. So understanding what non-verbal signals to use to give you the best chance of being seen as a friend and likable, trustworthy, competent, and confident is so crucial. You need to get this right first. I hope this has been really helpful in understanding how the brain works, how information enters the brain, and why our non-verbal communication is at the forefront of how we communicate. It's just the way our brains are designed and why our first impressions happen immediately and why they last. It's helpful to understand this rather than just knowing it. Understanding how something works gives us a much more powerful concept and framework to operate from. Honestly, understanding how the brain works is fascinating and gives you a much greater insight to how to connect and build relationships with people. I've created a mini video series with 5 simple ways to increase your sales using body language. To access that, just go to the description below and click the first link and enter your name and email. If you liked this video and learnt something, hit the like button and leave me a comment below. Hit the subscribe button also. That way you'll get a notification when I release new videos each week. Also, if you have something that you're struggling with, leave me a comment about that as well. That way I can make content on what's really going to help you. Speak soon.